All right, did you give your brain some space to think and maybe get your lawn perfectly manicured or your dishes done? I actually took the day off and I got to go swimming with my kids, so that was a ton of fun. And coming back, I'm fresh and have a fresh look at these logos, and I've got a couple ideas I wanted to play out real quick. So what I'm going to do is just experiment with a couple more mock-ups and show you a couple more tips and tricks. Then we'll learn how to package and send these as a comp. What a comp means is like a comprehensive look or just an idea, just a first round for if you were working with a client, say, hey, what do you think about these? Are these going to be what you're looking for? So what I'm going to do is grab this icon right here. I'm just going to hit my direct selection tool to highlight it, Command C to copy, Command V to paste it over here so we can play with it a little bit. And instead of knocking out the D like we did over here where it looked like it was a C, I'm going to try knocking out the M instead. So I'll come over here and get the direct selection tool, letter A, click once on that M and slide it over into place, and you'll see when I get to where those two lines intersect, I get that pink line. And remember, that is my smart guide. If you don't see that, come up to View, turn on Smart Guides, and snap to point. That'll help you out, help snap things in place. So what I want to do now is I want to cut out the letter M, and I'm going to do it a little more precise this time. I'm going to click on the letter D with my direct selection tool, come over here to Object, come down to Path, and Offset Path. What that's going to do is it's going to perfectly follow the line of the first letter there. I'm going to hit OK, and you might need to change the offset amount a little bit. I'm going to hit OK, and now I've got two different shapes here. So you can see that I've got the original letter D, and then behind it, I'll turn a different color so we can see the M above it. And behind it, there we go, is a full copy that's a little bit bigger of the same shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shape to knock out the letter M. So I'll click on that, shift click on the M, and then shift M to get my shape builder tool. Hold on Alt, and I'm just going to delete all of that. Click and drag. All right, so now I've got a D and an M, and that actually is working pretty good here. I'll just change the colors back. So there's one idea. Now I'm going to keep pushing this a little bit further. I'll click once, Alt and drag. And now what I'm going to do is hit the letter A to get my direct selection tool, but I'm just going to grab one of these anchor points, because now what I can do is hit delete once and then one more time to delete that whole selection, and it actually pulled out the middle portion of that letter. So now it's just a solid shape. And maybe I'll play with, let's see, I'll leave that there, click and drag a copy, zoom in a little bit, hit the letter A to get that shape, hold on Alt, click and drag, and then after I start to drag, I'll hold on the Shift key, which forces it to stay in line. Okay, I'm going to hit the letter O to get my reflect tool, hold on Shift, click and drag, so now I just reflected that. And I'm going to drag this guy back in place right over here, and this is where, let me change this color again so I can see a little better. I'll bring it to the front, Command right bracket. This is where it's nice in Illustrator because we can zoom in really, really far. So I can grab this guy and drag over till I see that it's exactly where I want it to be. Maybe just a touch past so that way it covers it up, and then let go. All right, so now I've got kind of an interesting looking shape here. And the whole purpose of all of this is just to create something cool and unique, something that nobody else has made yet, so that way it can be your own custom logo. So now what I'm going to do, that's fine. I don't really care about the color yet. I'm just building shapes, just trying to get some ideas. And if it's bugging you, I can change it back to a gray color. So that's kind of an interesting shape. Now here's an idea. This could look almost like a spring or something. Let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm going to grab this shape in the middle here. I'm going to hit the letter P. And I'm going to, I don't want to add a path here, so let me actually click off here. With my pen tool, when I hover over it, it shows me when I'm on that path. So I'm going to click here, and then just visually I'm lining it up so that line matches that stem there. I'll click down here, and I'm just going to fill this. All right, so what we're doing here, it's kind of a mess, but just track with me here for a second. I'm going to hit the letter A, shift click on that shape there. So now I've got that weird shape I just made and the letter M behind it. Hold on Shift M to get my shape builder tool. Now I'm going to hold on Alt and click away from the pieces that I want to break apart here. Okay, so now it's tough to see, but if I click once on this, I can change my color. I'm going to hold down, or I'm going to hit the letter A to get my direct selection tool on this shape. Command Shift right bracket to bring that to the front. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to hit Command X, Command F to paste in front. There we go. It was stuck in the group behind it. So I've got kind of a mess behind there, but I don't really care because right now I'm just looking at what's above. So now I could play with the different tones here. I could go, let's just play with black and white for right now. Let's go from maybe a 75% black to maybe a 90%. And maybe let's match this with that shape here, and let's make this one a much lighter. Click on black and now bring that up to maybe 50%. So now we're kind of playing with depth of field. So it's kind of like that one's pushed behind, like it's in the shadows or something. So that's where you want to be careful. If we don't like this original shape, if we had to make this as a vinyl cutout for the side of a truck or embroidered on a t-shirt, we want to make sure that we're happy with this shape, which, you know, it's all right, but nothing crazy. But when you start adding multi-levels with tone or with color, it can add a lot more visual interest, which can be cool. But again, we want to be careful that we're not using that as a crutch to make something that's not a good solution look good. All right, so that was the one idea I had, just playing with it, just, you know, seeing if anything creative came with it. I can grab these. Maybe these are a little bit too thick. Let's see. Let me highlight all of it. Command G to group. Drag a copy down. So that's Command. Let's see what I even do there. I'm working so fast. Click once. Hold down Alt. Click and drag a copy. Hold down Shift to duplicate that. All right. Get my direct selection tool and highlight those here, and I'm just going to drag them in a touch. But instead of just guessing, I'm going to use my arrow keys. So let's see, I'll hold on Shift and do it by a factor of 10. Well, that's too much, so I'll hit Command Z. So now I'm just going to nudge it with my arrow keys. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7's about good. So now I can click on this side and go left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, maybe I want to change the height of these. Let's go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's kind of interesting. To be totally honest, I like that shape a lot better than how heavy this one is. But see where we came from? We started all the way over with this shape, and then you can see the progression of just messing with it and polishing it until we get it to something we like. So I'll highlight that, hit Command G to copy. I'm sorry, Command G to turn it into a group. So now I can click on any one of these shapes. It'll stay together. And I'm happy with this shape, so I'm going to drag a copy over here. And I'm going to grab this text and drag a copy down. And bring this here, and maybe that's good enough like that. I can also play with a stacked version, so I'll highlight that, Command X to cut it, Command F to bring it back in front, Command G to make sure it's still grouped, bring that in line with the text above it, and then bring a copy of this down here. So there's a couple versions that I'm happy enough with that I would use. So what we're going to do now, make sure you have your logos ready to go, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to bring these ideas into something that's actually worth showing a client, because we don't want them to see the mess, we don't want them to see the thought process. We want to clean this up and turn it into something that we could show them as a plausible idea. So here we go.